And guys, if you're live, I'm in this, but I'm also looking at this live. I see that we got 8 people live in here. So I'm looking at the comments. If you're live, if you're one of the 8, where are you calling them from? Where in the country or the world are you guys calling them from? And if you drop in the comments, oh, we got Kenneth. What up? Kenneth, where are you from, man? Oh, there's a delay too. So when I say it,
yeah, unfortunately, LinkedIn.
I see it like a few minutes, like a few seconds later.
Yeah, I guess so. LinkedIn has like a couple of minutes delay or something, but nevertheless.
Oh, we got 2.
Fox,
we got Jude, Kenneth, both from London. We got a few clients in London. Nice. Aaron,
awesome.
What up, man? Got the goat. Aaron, are you still in? Are you still overseas? Or are you back in LA? I'm so curious how long this delay is. But yeah, Kenneth, we got Jude. Awesome, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got a client of ours or a friend of mine, Aaron Eisman. He's currently in Vietnam. Beautiful, where he just got married. Congratulations, Aaron. Aaron, what's it like over there, man? Have you enjoyed it? It's obviously a completely different world to LA. I saw the pictures of your wedding. They look beautiful, man. Mazel tov. But yeah, Kenneth, Jude, thanks for coming in. We'll be back in LA in May. Siva from India, welcome in, man. Thanks for being here. And guys, we're gonna be talking about how to systematize your agency to the multi 7-figure and 7-figure rate. But if you have any specific questions, we got my old friend Noah Al-Kafif. Noah, what's good, bro? But yeah, guys, if you are coming in live and you have a specific question for your agency, just drop in the chat. We're about to go live in a minute. Nick, let me know when you want to go live. But if you have a specific question about your agency or about your business that you want us to talk through, I'll walk you through the structure, and then we'll go into open Q&A. We got Ronald from Kenya. What's going on, Ronald? Thank you for being here, man. Bubble developer, no code life. Awesome.
Yeah, I think we can pretty much start, and I think a couple of more folks will join until meanwhile, we'll solve like all these technical issues and stuff. Why don't we start with a very, very small intro from yourself? Maybe, like you can kind of like walk us through how, how did this webinar actually was created, a little bit about yourself maybe, and let's just go from there.
Yeah, guys. So first and foremost, thanks for hanging out with me live. Drop comments in the chat. I'm seeing you. I see Ronald, Ashan from Pakistan. But some context on me. We got Eamon. What's going on, bro? Where are you calling him from? But here's some context on me. So I run a 8-figure agency. We're a multi 7-figure consultancy that helps agencies scale by building the right systems and processes to enable them to get to 8 figures. So the most common problem that we see with our clients is they're stuck in what I call agency prison. You build the business surrounding you. Can't take time off. Profits are not optimized. Your team members aren't executing in the way you want to. You're struggling to source and hire the right talent. Your lifetime value of your clients is not as high as you want it to be. The operations becomes a fire every day, and it's stressful, and people come to you nonstop. These are just a few of the things that I call agency prison. So what we do is we go into these companies, and we help restructure their agency to systematize things to make it easier. So I got my boy Noah. He and I worked at Amazon together in Columbus, Ohio. So I worked at Amazon for a period of 4 years. And when I was in my last role, so I moved over to an Amazon Fresh facility where I had 800 people beneath me in my org chart. And from what I learned at that business specifically, right, operations at scale is really simple. And that's what Amazon makes it simple. Noah could tell you that too in the comments. Noah, drop a comment about our time at Amazon. But one of the things Amazon does exceptionally well is operation at scale and standardization at scale. So when I started consulting on the side at Amazon, I started to see an immediate gap in how agencies were structured, how they were running their business, and how they were trying to scale. And it was the completely opposite way of Amazon. So to date, we've worked with over 600 agencies. We have over 100 active clients right now. And like I said, we're a multi 7-figure business. And I'll actually go into more about me in a second, but that's the quick context before we dive into this call. And shout out, we got Eamon from Algeria, Ojo from Nigeria. Algeria and Nigeria. What up, guys? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, okay. I think we can pretty much start. I'm going to just send one more email in a second. And yeah, let's just go. Let's just see as we go.
Cool. So I'll share
Jordan,
my
tell us
screen.
how to scale agencies.
Yes, sir. So sharing my screen now. And like I said, guys, I'm looking at the chat as I'm doing this. So if you have comments or questions as I bring something up, feel free to ask. So most important thing, right? How to systematize your agency, how to 10x your revenue, build an operational machine. So the reason I positioned ourselves in the marketplace from this perspective, there is an abundance of content around getting clients and marketing, right? There's a scarce amount of content around actually building an operational machine that will allow you to grow. So guys like Noah and I, where we have this knowledge about just how to run basic operations, it's nothing crazy. When we go into business, when I went to business, right? If I figured out how to get clients, I knew operations wouldn't be a problem, right? And what I find is most businesses are stuck. Most businesses, their actual bottleneck, their thing that's preventing them from growing is operations. So just some quick context around me. I already said this. I run a multi-seven-figure business. So we're on track to be at the $2.5 million ARR run rate this month. Got some pictures here. So Noah, you'll love this. This is me launching my fulfillment center in Denver. And Noah, this is John Compliment, if you remember him. I've been there. I've done that. I've been in the trenches. I went to Amazon with the only intention to be an entrepreneur, like literally from day one, literally an undergraduate where I actually knew Noah in undergraduate. I was going to Amazon to literally learn the system. Right now, I run a business. Like I said, we're a multi-seven-figure business. I take a month off every summer, starting last summer. So this is me in Mallorca, Spain. My wife and I were at dinner. And my business grew last summer when I was off. So this summer, I'm going to be gone starting May 10th. I'll be in Portugal, I'll be in Italy, and I'll be in Greece. And my team is going to be holding down the fort. They're going to be growing, and there'll be a lot of content around that. So my belief is the best businesses are ones that don't require the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur comes in and they go into their zone of genius. They do the thing that lights this shit on fire so the business can grow exponentially. And that's where I'm seeing most businesses struggle. Entrepreneurs and agency owners, you don't have the capacity to get there because you're busy doing too much stuff. You can't do webinars with Nik live on LinkedIn. Shout out to all the homies that are here, right? So this is what we're diving into. So let's go into my structure. So my belief, right, is if you want to build a business, it's like building a house. You need to have a strong operational structure in order to scale it. Most of you trying to build businesses probably have a weak structure. So Noah, you're going to recognize probably all of this because this is pretty much the Amazonian playbook minus a few specific things. So when it comes to this, we built something called the 8-step plan. Now, for me, the 8-step plan is the 8 core steps that if you follow, if you build, you'll have a strong operational foundation that's going to allow you to build a multi-7 and 8-figure machine. So what's step 1? So in lean operations, I think Noah, you're a Lean Six Sigma bell. By the way, I'm giving you so much kudos and love, man. We're hanging out basically live. But in lean operations, the first step of any operational process is to map out your workflow. So one of the things that I do every time we go into any agency is you need to map out the first step, the second a client closes, all the way to retaining them for 12, 24, 36 months. What you need specifically in this process is, and I'm going to pull up a quick example, is who is the owner of each step, right? Is the step internal or external? Internal step focuses on the team communicating with each other, right? Or external is client facing. So when we map this out, this really maps out the foundation of our operation. I'm actually going to pull this over real quick. So what you could see here, this is the template that we give to our clients. What's the step? Who's the owner? What's the goal, the touch point, length of the task? Was there software implications? How do we know this step is done, right? Is there a specific SOP or training, right? And here's an example of what this looks like, right? So this whole thing's filled out. It allows us to easily manage this. And shout out to my dog in the back. That's Lacey. So we start here. This gives us our operational foundation, right? Once we have this, now we know every single step in our process. The next thing is to ensure how do we further develop this? So we need to build what are called SOPs and trainings. SOPs stand for Standard Operating Procedures. Trainings teach people how to think, right? So when we were at Amazon, there'd be some simple documents on how to follow a process, but there would have to be extended trainings to operate in a more comprehensive manner, right? So when something breaks in your business, or when you're setting up a PPC campaign, or if you're doing what Nik does and he runs a development company, right? There are things that you can make an SOP for. An SOP should be simple. Children should be able to follow an SOP, but trainings are so much more comprehensive and people miss this mark. So I want to highlight this. And guys, if you hang out, and there's only 7 of us live, but if you hang out the rest until the end, we'll do Q&A in the backside. So this roadmap allows us to see the templates we need to start building. From there, I like to dial in what I call the org chart. So a lot of people think org chart is who reports to whom, and this is not what I care about for an org chart. I care more about responsibilities, goals, and KPIs. So every single person in your business, are their responsibilities? Where the goals correlate to that, and where the KPIs? And a great example of that should be an account manager is responsible for keeping clients happy and maximizing LTV. The goal might be LTV per client is $20,000, and the KPIs can be the inputs. The KPIs can be, make sure you check in with clients once a day on Slack, or Slack messages are cleared out daily. All client questions are answered. You provide a client with a resource once a month, right? You can make a laundry list of inputs. When we dial this in, it allows us to start to dial in our project management. So Noah, once again, shout out to you, bro. Most people, when it comes to project management, they have a really simple approach. They have basic project management, right? Which is what I call here. And by the way, this is just my mind map of this. We want something called standard work. Now, standard work is something I directly got from Amazon. Everyone at Amazon had a standard work checklist. Now, at the end of every single day, what this allows us to do is have visibility. So standard work is a checklist of things that your team must do every single day, week, and month. And when we do those things, we can ensure that we are going to execute and deliver the experience we want to for our clients. So at the end of every day, and I'm going to pull this up in real time, I'm going to show you, I get a report, right? So the standard work checklist allows us to have clear visibility and reporting for our business. So at the end of every day, I get this report. So this is from Sunday. So I get my marketing metrics. So these are the amount of appointments we're setting. So, as of yesterday, we had set 96, and you could see I commented, but I was like, we actually got 5 today. So, we were trending towards 98. This is from one of my consultants and my head of sales, right? So I'm asking him some questions here, my head of development, my onboarding. I have visibility into my business. I know, did we execute or did we miss, right? Is there something I need to comment on? Because if I can clearly see where my business is trending on a daily basis, I know for a fact where we're going to end up, right? Super simple. So that reporting allows us to have visibility, and then we need to dial in our KPIs. So for a lot of you, you might be driving, let's actually find a real example. But some of you, like Nick, he's not driving a performance-based KPI, but we have, let's just find out. We have devs here. So if we have someone that's performance-based, we might have to focus on SEO results or paid ad results or things like that. We want to have a dashboard. So the dashboard creates clear benchmarks and targets per client, right? So when it comes to our results, do we have for each client a very specific target? So I'll give you another quick example here. This client, as an example dashboard, right? The goal for sessions, this is SEO, should be 8,000. So if we have one account manager who has 7 clients, she's only hitting on 1. She needs to come into the meeting, and this is the meeting structure. This is the same thing we did at Amazon, right? The meeting structure needs to be, she's coming in based on her data. She's saying, hey, I have 1 of 7 of my clients are performing, but I have 6 that are not. Here's why. So she starts to review target performance versus actual performance. And the number one thing that you guys are probably doing in your business, you guys are probably having your team members be managed in meetings from your operations managers. And the script needs to be completely the opposite. Your individual contributors need to be reporting out on their data so you guys understand what's happening. And so it raises their visibility and it raises their accountability. This is one of the simplest things that changes the way our businesses perform. What this allows us to do from here is create continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is basically having your team get better without you. Now, these are the 8 steps. If you follow these, if you build these, if you implement them into your business, you can build a business that can operate without you, so you can go focus on things that will make your business the most money. So I'm going to pause here, guys. I'm looking at the comments. Drop some comments for me. And guys, there's a little bit of a lag, but drop a comment. What questions do you have on this? And we'll keep going from there. But Nick, this is the initial introduction of the presentation. This is the initial 8 steps. What questions do you have? Nick, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, this is very interesting and very insightful. But I'm curious, what kinds of agencies are we talking about here? Is it do you refer to okay, all agencies? But what is an agency? I'm curious.
Yeah,
so
that's a great question.
when the person can consider themselves an agency, when they can consider themselves, actually, a fit to listen to your advices, or okay, yeah. So what should I have in a company to be considered as an agency?
Yeah. So when I talk to my niche, for me, it's digital marketing agency. So anyone that's helping businesses grow online. So development businesses are included in that. So what you're doing, Nick, whether it's web development, software development, that's included in there. Social media marketing agencies, paid advertising agencies, SEO agencies, content writing agencies, right? So anyone that's helping someone grow online. But this also works for all service-based businesses, right? This works for any business that has people running their business, right? Like I said, this is the Amazonian model that I'm basically bringing to the agency space. And Noah, of all people, understands that because, like I said, he and I worked at Amazon together.
Mm-hmm. I see. Thank you for clarifying. And what, let's say, what segment of agencies do you see the biggest problems with, let's say, like operations? Are they all similar? Do they all have the same problems, issues, and goals and stuff? Or you kind of like, segment them. Let's say if I'm like a web development agency, I should, go this way, and I should try to like automate everything. If I'm like a digital agency, I should try to like do it this way. And should, actually those segments understand your materials differently or no? Just kind of curious your take on that.
Yeah. So to reframe, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, right? So when it comes to an agency, operations is the bottleneck for almost every client. Everyone's facing the same issues, right? So when it comes to the issues, you mentioned it before, but it's agency prison. I think most entrepreneurs, there's so much you have to focus on. There's so much that we as entrepreneurs have to be that we're accountable for. I'm accountable for marketing and sales and fulfillment and operations and software and administration, hiring and sourcing talent and keeping my clients happy and keeping projects moving along and everything in between, that it's so easy to get lost and build the wrong structure by accident. So that's the biggest problem that we solve, that I see. Everyone is seeing online content that everyone's talking about marketing and sales. So everyone's consuming the right marketing and sales content, but what everyone's doing is building themselves into what I call golden handcuffs or agency prison. You're stuck in the operation. You're stuck being the one product market expert. You're stuck answering all your team members' questions. Your team members are not performing. Your lifetime value is not what you want it to be. Your team members are just not understanding the content. We're not onboarding talent effectively. We're not onboarding clients effectively. All of these come from a root cause of operations. And guys, I'm seeing your questions. Keep them coming in because I'll finish my questions with Nick, and then I'll go to your questions. I see Aaron, Noah, and Kenneth. You guys have questions. I'll come to them in a second. But Nick,
so summarizing, if let's say whether I'm one person agency or let's say 50-person agency, if I'm a web development agency or digital marketing or let's say design or finance or legal or something, this will still help me in any of those scenarios. I mean, this presentation. Am I right?
Yeah. So think of it like this, right? Any business that has people needs to be an operation. Like it needs to be thought of as an operation in any business. So Nick, you guys, it says on your profile, you built a $4 million business in 1.5 years. If you had to do everything for every department, you would be focusing on the opportunity cost is so crazy. It's so immense. It makes no sense. So we as founders, we want to put ourselves in the place where we can grow the business the most, right? For me, it's getting myself right now. For me, the thing that I own is, marketing, right? And appointment setting. So I'm putting myself out there on as many webinars as possible, as many podcasts as possible. I'm increasing my content. I'm connecting with partners, other businesses that have another 100 or 200 agencies, and I'm forming these partnerships. I sat down last week with a billionaire who owns 20 companies, built and sold 4 tech companies. He's acquiring agencies and he wants us to be the in-house, consultant for them. So we already signed their client. We're working with them. But these are the things that I get to focus on that allow my business to grow the most. Now, if I don't have a good operation, if I have to be focusing on clients, if I have to be focusing on every little issue, I can't go do those things, right? So that's why if you build a strong operation, it frees up the founder to do the things that actually grow the business. And let's do this. Nick, I know you're going to have another question. I want to answer some client questions or some
let's go
live viewer
other
questions.
questions.
Aaron, and guys, as I go through this, keep asking questions because I'm going to review these. But Aaron said, what's the best first hire for an organization? Sounds like someone in operations. I run a social media agency. Aaron, love you, bro. So I don't think there's a template first hire. The way I like to look at it, especially for what you're doing, first and foremost, I think you did this, Aaron. I like to call something, you want to measure your time, do the XDS, cut, delegate, systematize. So if you are a solopreneur or you have like a few contractors on you, like we said, not all of your time is equal. Sometimes you'll invest an hour into something and you could get hundreds of $1,000s in return. Sometimes you'll invest 5 hours into something and nothing will even happen. So when you measure your time, you want to see where is your time actually going and then categorize your time. There's softwares like Toggle, Toggl, that when you measure your time, it's a software that you could categorize things. So you could be like, oh, I'm spending about, I don't know, here was one example from one of our clients recently. I'm spending about 5 hours a week scraping leads and scraping data. And this was a young founder. I'm like, dude, you could find someone on Upwork for $5 an hour or less that can do that for you. And they can scrape those leads for you, literally no problem. So how about we figure out what is your dollar per hour value? Like if we were to quantify your time, if your business is doing $15,000 a month, you could figure out, okay, if I'm working 40 hours a week, here's how much my time's worth. And then anything that's less than that value, you want to go higher that. So Aaron, for you, you want to get the things that are easy off your plate first, like the data scraping, the things that take SOPs that don't take much training. Those are things that will get your time back. So you could go focus on hitting the DMs, getting on sales calls and things like that. So I would say that should actually be the first hire. And then from there, you want to figure out what's going to be the thing that's really going to take my time off my plate. For a social media agency, maybe it's content writing, maybe it's posting, maybe it's account management. Then for that, yeah, I would say if you can get that off your plate and you can go sell and prospect, that's going to allow you to grow more. Noah had the question of fire. No, I'm kidding there. Fire. Appreciate you, Noah. Kenneth wrote, does this work for agencies of all sizes? For example, an agency run by 5 people, 100% Kenneth. And here's why. The reason agency owners like yourself, if you have 5 people, so I know you guys do web dev solution, at least that's what it says. I'm assuming you're devs, right? So for a dev shop, it goes back to the same thing. If you don't build the right structure at 5, or at least have the context and thought process when I get to 10 devs, when I get to a team of 10, right? You're going to build yourself into the prison where now you have to do everything. So defining your structure, defining your workflow, defining your template on how you guys execute your operation, how you onboard clients, how you present the timeline to your clients for your development projects, how you, at the end of a project, ask for referrals and make sure the clients are happy and those things, and make sure you get testimonials. Those are all operational processes that could be templatized. Now, you, as the founder of a 5-person dev agency, might be sitting in multiple roles. You're head of marketing, head of sales, you're the CEO, you might be the COO too. You might be the lead project manager, and then you might have some devs behind you. So you might be the head of account management. You're sitting in like 5 or 6 different roles realistically, except your business hasn't grown to fill those roles yet. So what you want to think of is, what's my next hire going to be? So this is Aaron, this goes back to your question too. What's my next hire going to be? And for that next hire, what are the specific processes they're going to own, the templates and software applications and SOPs and trainings I'll need to build? And that's where you could actually start building those things in advance. So when you bring on that role, that you already have the onboarding process for them. Here's the first 90 days, here's the first week. I want you to go through these SOP documents. I want you to go through this workflow. And then I want you to sit in with me. So if you do this in advance, Kenneth, when you start to get some of those things off your plate, you could then bring those people into those seats to then start saving your time to, once again, go focus on growth. Kenneth, thanks for the question. We had next question from Noah. And guys, keep asking these questions. We got like a half hour to hang out. So we're going to keep rocking and rolling. Noah said, what do you do when an agency is not adopting your recommendation? So for me as a consultancy, we actually had this recently. Actually, I talked to my COO today. We had a client who came in through my personal network and their team's just simply not executing, right? So we have to sync with this client. We've spoken to them almost weekly with the founder. Hey, like you told us this is your problem. We're actually identifying your bigger problem is this, your people. We tell them to do it and they're not executing. We're following up with them. We're doing what we can to hold them accountable, but the core root cause of this issue is your management structure and your accountability is actually not where it needs to be. So here's what we can do. We're only going to work with 1 or 2 people in your business. They need to be highly accountable, and they need to be someone that's actually going to adopt these things and take action because we're following up with them. We're presenting the proper plan, and we're working with someone in your space that we've already helped add $2 million in your business. If you guys just execute, we'll get you to where you need to go. So I'm actually talking to the founder today because he's from my network, and I'm just going to have a candid conversation. And I was like, hey, you told us this was your problem. Your biggest problem is actually your people don't have any accountability. So I don't think it makes sense for us to keep going in this structure. If we have one person, we could work with them, we could help them execute. So from a consultancy perspective, Noah, that's what we do, but that's just the specific example from today. Thank you for the correction, Kenneth. We had Paul. What up, Paul? I help founders and businesses build software. So Nick, we got a lot of developers out here. Appreciate it. Paul said, how would you adjust this model for small agency, 2 to 5 people, basically for folks starting out their agencies? So Paul, this is the same thing for you too. And I think my response to Kenneth relates to you. But when you're at 2 to 5 people, you as the founder want to reflect on yourself. What are all the roles I'm sitting in? So you really need to take a moment and have some serious reflection. So you are in like 5 to 7 roles as a founder of a small business. So what you want to do very specifically is map out those roles and figure out what the next hire is going to be. Build the workflow. So, I forgot I'm screen sharing. So you want to go build your workflow, the first step all the way to your last step. And then from there, once you have the workflow built out, what you can do is then be able to templatize more steps so you can onboard. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Yeah, guys, keep the questions rocking and rolling. We have Ashen asked, damn, you guys are highly engaged. Let's go. Ashen said, if no code agencies struggle to generate good leads, what should they do? You need I would go to Upwork first and foremost, Ashen, get some testimonials. And then from those testimonials, start hitting the DMs on LinkedIn and Twitter. And you should probably be aiming to have like 2 or 3 LinkedIn accounts, sending like 400 connection requests a week between all 3. And then on Twitter, you could max out and send 500 DMs a day. So you need to have an angle. Actually, I don't know where you're from, but I'm assuming it's not North America or Europe. If that's the case, your angle should be, hey, I will do. If you're looking for no-code development, we're a no-code development shop from this country. Here's our testimonials. We have the ability to bring you cheaper development work for great quality. That's what I would do. Rita asked, how can I evaluate the onboarding process for our agency as per employee and their manager perspective, both? Rita, I'm going to answer this. I think you mean onboarding talent. Here's how I look at onboarding talent. Onboarding talent starts first and foremost with expectations, right? When you are onboarding someone, the first thing they need to know coming into this role is what are the responsibilities, what are the goals, and what are the KPIs, right? KPIs are inputs. Then they should have a clear run rate. Like, here's where I need to be after 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. When do I need to be fully up to speed? From there, there's technical onboarding, and then there's emotional onboarding. Technical onboarding should be equivalent to getting orientation into college or university. So when you go step on foot of your university for your orientation, you are given a map where you need to be at what time and how to get there. Onboarding talent should be the same thing. They should have a full week's schedule already given to them. And then after that full week schedule, you should probably consider what they need to do after week 2. Because the most common thing for onboarding talent, you onboard talent, and then what happens? Like, they are said, hey, go shadow this person. And they just kind of float. So you want to have technical onboarding and then emotional onboarding. Good emotional onboarding includes inspiring and cultivating your talents, like emotions through a vision, through helping them know that you're going to support them in their personal and professional endeavors. And when you do those 2 things effectively, you actually increase the lifetime value of your talent staying at your company by 256%. Thank you for that question, Rita. That was a great one. We had Hamid ask, agreed, identify roles. Thank you, Hamid. Noah said, opportunity cost, underutilized talent, 1 of 8 types of waste. Love it. Yes, Noah's referring to the types of waste from 6 lean operations. Oh, and Nick, you popped into the chat, bro. Didn't know you were doing that. Nick, my co-host of this fun webinar, said, are there any useful sites, materials, books, very useful for agency owners you'd mention? I'm actually going to drop my resources page in here. So there's a lot. There's so much content. I would actually say start with my stuff, honestly, because I give a lot of stuff away for free. So Nick, in response to you there, what I'll do, I will reply to you and I will post my resources page. And then check out, like, I have a YouTube too, but like people are happy to engage with me. Like I post a lot of stuff. Nick also said, are there any useful communities for agency owners? Would you recommend to join if you were an agency owner? There's a lot. I have a co-host on my podcast. Um, he has a Facebook agency. They have like 30,000 people. Let me just, what I'll do is I will try to figure out what that is and I'll send the community to you, Nick. And after the webinar, if you want to send it to people, I could get it to you. Dominic, what up, bro? He asked, is there a recording going to be shared anywhere? Nick, that one's for you. I don't know.
Jordan, I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to write it down, but curious. What actually at Villano Code we found a problem of not understanding what areas and like which markets can actually be, I don't even know how to say that, agencyed. So what are like the most popular types of agencies that you see that you usually work with? Are there like web development, digital marketing? Can there be like financial agencies or like legal agencies? And what other types of agencies are the most popular in the world right now? Because we like do searches for them like every day and just don't have an idea what people what kind of agencies there exist.
Yeah. So, and for this context, when I say agency, I'm referring to digital marketing companies. So these are companies that provide a service that is really built based on people, right? So when you think of software companies or e-commerce companies sell products where the ratio of revenue people is technically usually less, and same thing with software companies. Digital marketing companies could have good margins, but they're usually more people intensive. So I would take the word agency out of the mindset here, and I would say, what are service-based companies that are very intensive and have a lot of people? Right. The thing with a digital marketing company, it's a digital service. You could be a digital company. Like my entire team is virtual. No one lives in LA where I live. So I would actually, what are companies that can be virtual that don't require people in person? That's why digital marketing companies are one of the best ones. Because like you talk about legal services, well, usually a legal service company needs to be all in person, right? Or typically is. Maybe there's an accounting service company, like maybe accountants technically now do not need to be in person. Right. So that's how I look at that.
I see. Thank you.
Kenneth said, how would you decide when is the right time to hire for more talent? So when you're, Kenneth, I think you said you got like 5 people. So for me, the way I look at hiring, it's really an opportunity cost equation for me, especially when you're early on, right? So what I was looking at is, what do I want to be making per month? That was like, I quit Amazon. I told my wife I was going to make sure we're good to go. So I had to earn a certain amount of money. And when I started to earn more than $10,000 a month, 15,000, when I started to pay myself $20,000 a month, we tangibly changed our lifestyle, and I didn't want to go back to that. So what I was looking at is, how could I max out what I can do that's going to peak where my business can grow. For me, I maxed out at 20K. I could max out at like $20,000 a month, but if I bring on any more clients past me making 20K, I'm going to hire. So what I did was I figured out how much I want to earn and what my opportunity cost of that. I'm going to do more for a little bit, but like, I'm not going to change my lifestyle. My wife will be happy with me. So my opportunity cost was my wife, honestly, in this equation. And then once I had that, I was like, okay, now I need to hire for another consultant. So when I close a deal, I could pass it to them. And to follow up with that, Kenneth also said, is it wise to hire talent on a freelance basis? It just depends. We have on the back office side a lot of administrative freelancers, but for developers, for like your agency, there is always a risk. I always say, start, the number one test for a freelancer is like, if you find them on Upwork or at onlinejobs.ph or Fiverr, things like that, you want to put them on one account. And this is, I think you should do this before you even hire anyone full time. You put them on one account and one project, and you see how they perform. If they perform well, you put them on another project, and then you have a conversation with them. Hey, I would love to work with you further. What do you want to earn per month? Right. So you need to ask them those questions. And if that's where that comes down to, like, okay, how much does this person want to earn per month? How much can I afford to pay them per month? Do I have enough deal flow to hire them? or do I need to keep them as a freelancer? And then you start to build that relationship. So take it account by account, but start to ask your talent if they're willing to commit to you, right? And because what you're wanting to sift out for, you want to avoid hiring people that are not reliable. And that's why we like to start with one. Siva asked how to get initial customers for newly started agency. Work for free. Your first client should be for free or should be for discount. Mine was, because why would anyone pay you for a new business when there's hundreds or thousands of people they could hire? Why would they hire someone that is brand new? The answer is because they're going to get a deal. Like, and for you, you need social proof. So for you, Siva, I don't know where you're at geographically, but you want to find someone in the United States or Europe or England and be like, hey, I saw you have a big brand and you have bad marketing, right? Whatever the thing is. I will work for you for free for 2 months in return for a testimonial, referrals. And then if I do good work, you hire me and pay me. Are you open for that? That's how I started. My first client was Sam Lister. I got the testimonial, I got the referral, and he ended up leading me to multiple more clients. Off topic, but can you tell us a little about working on Amazon? Nick, shit, man. No one knows. I don't know if Noah's still here. Amazon was freaking nuts at first. So Amazon, I worked in Amazon fulfillment operations. I launched 3 Amazon facilities: Columbus, Ohio, Denver, and Glendale, which is in Los Angeles County. Amazon's really intense. I think after 12 months, when I launched that new building, I started that building with 50 college hires. So Noah, who's actually still here, what up, bud? He and I graduated Ohio State, and we launched CMH1, which was our fulfillment center, with 50 college hires, new managers. I think a year later, there were like half of those people. So Amazon is long hours, Amazon's intense work, and Amazon is like, it really pins competition against each other. Like it's a dog eat dog world there. But what's great about Amazon, they teach you how to think through numbers and data. So we would have 4 meetings a day, and it's all data driven. We would have technical training with our managers. They would go over the data and how we to train people. They teach you great managerial tactics. It's very intense, but for all the intensities of Amazon, yeah, Noah said it's like you build the plane while you're flying. I think Amazon's the best teacher of operations and management in the world, which is, I mean, my consultancy is literally based on my experience at Amazon. So thanks for that question. But I mean, it's crazy. Like I was 21 years old and like 3 to 6 months into my role at Amazon, I had 100 people on my team. Like where else are you going to get an experience like that? And most of these people, I'm 21, most of these people are 30, 40, 50. I have to figure out, how do I earn their respect? How do I get these people to respect me? My first Thanksgiving at Amazon, I had one of my employees scream at me in my face. He's like, I'm giving up my Thanksgiving to work for you guys. You're ungrateful. And my daughter's 1 year old, missing her first Thanksgiving. I'm like, dude, calm down, bro. So like, it really teaches you how to deal with adversity. And it's make or break. You're either gonna figure it out or you're gonna quit or get fired. And I mean, I don't know, Noah, if you knew this, I was a month away from a PIP in my first year at Amazon. March of 2017, I sat down with my manager, Wayne Bateman, and he's like, dude, you have to really figure this out, or otherwise next month we're going to have a serious conversation. So I knew what that meant. So it's really intense, but teaches you how to grow. Nick also said, what are the biggest agencies you've seen? I mean, there's massive ones. We all, there's the ones that are like the $1 billion agencies. The biggest one I've worked with Hawk Media. They're a 9-figure agency in Los Angeles. They were a client. I got to Hawk Media because I was like, yo, I'll work for you. I got a call with their founder. I was like, yo, I would love to work for you guys for free. And then I turned that into an engagement, and I learned a lot from Hawk Media. How does Hawk Media get to operate? And I got a great case study from them. Siva asked how to manage remote talent, also global talent in an agency. We didn't talk about management, but the things that I shared here, you need to have a standard work checklist. You need to have a checklist of the things people need to show daily. They need to send it to you in a daily report, and you need to have like a clear understanding of what people's motives are. So do people want to earn a certain amount of money? Do they want to have freedom? We have my director of marketing. He said the thing that he cares about is just the flexibility and freedom to do what he wants. And he's like, I used to have to call my boss, sir, I call you brother. Like I'll be happy forever. And he's not motivated by money. I'm going to make sure he's constantly compensated. So I'm always asking, like, what do you need to be happy here? And what do you need to want to stay here for a while? So that's the personal motivation. Because if you don't do that, people will leave. And then there's the technical management where it's like, what are the clear responsibilities, goals, and KPIs? Do we have daily standard work? Do we have effective training? And do we have an audit process where we have visibility into them daily? Nick said, is it possible to scale an agency to 1,000 people? 1,000,000%, 100%. Do you see any successful examples? Yeah, I mean, there's agencies like VaynerMedia. Like, let's look up how many people are in VaynerMedia. VaynerMedia is an agency, right? So, like, they have a lot more than 1,000 people, I think. Great stuff. Thanks, Kenneth. Yeah, Amazon gets people. Yeah, no, this is a great point. Noah said Amazon gets people wrong all the time. People is hard, and you need to hire fast and fire fast. The way I like to hire, when we're sourcing talent, we want to create a really large top of funnel. So I post my job on LinkedIn, I post on Upwork, I post it on Indeed, I post on Monster, and I'm going to get a lot of applicants. The thing I'm always filtering for when I have people applying is technical competency first. Can they do this job? So I remember when I applied in college for Procter and Gamble, they had like a 50 question test. I didn't pass it and I didn't get an interview. So what you want to do though is you want to have a test for competency. So Nick runs a development company. He might have questions that will prove competency around development. Then there might have to be a second test where we want to hire you. Before we want to hire you, we need to make sure you can do this job. For developers, you might have to pay them for 1 to 2 hours of dev work, right? Because like, how else can you know this person could actually do the job? So you want to have a more in-depth test. Some agencies you need to have paid because people just won't give you an hour or two of their time if they're not being compensated. You'll pay them, and by the time you get to the interview, you know this person for a fact can do the job. So when you actually get to the interview, the only thing you're interviewing for is cultural fit. So to identify cultural fit, you need to identify the 5 to 10 non-negotiables in your business. Amazon has a lot of great leadership principles that you can use, right? So ownership, bias for action, delivering results, earning trust, customer obsession. If you come up with these leadership principles or these values that are pivotal for your business, what you can do is create questions around them. So the number one thing people mess up, the industry messes up, and Noah and I, when we learn to interview, we're asking, tell me about a time when, which creates situation, task, action, result type of questions, star questions. Those are horrible. Do not use those. You want to have future-based questions that tease these principles, right? So a great principle is ownership. Ownership, deliver results, and customer obsession. Those are 3 of my favorites. These are all from Amazon. So for these 3 principles, one of my favorite questions, it's Friday at 3 p.m. You have a dinner to get to at 4:30 or 5. A customer hits you up saying something that you guys did blew up their business or went wrong. What do? It puts them in a real situation that you have to use critical thinking in that situation. It shows you how they react. The number one thing you're assessing, the question on a technical level, we don't care about the technical level, right? We care about the values answer because we already know technically on a technical level they can do the job. We care about, do they answer the question with good ownership? Do they answer the question so they deliver results? Do they answer the question so they're customer obsessed? If they answer the question showing those values, then you know they're a good fit. I think those are all the questions, Nick. I think that was a rapid fire, straight 25, 30 minutes. Oh, we got one more. Nick said, how do you find the most successful hires? So I would say that's the process. You ultimately though, the best talent are already employed, right? So Nick, you're running a multi-million-dollar agency. You're wanting to look to grow to 8 figures. The best talent is not in the marketplace. Some are just working in bad businesses. So you need to figure out when you do the strategy and the forecasting for your business. Okay, as we're growing, we can expect to move from 4 million to 5 million, 5 million to 6 million. You build out your financial projections. You back that up with, if we're going to do these financial projections, we're going to have this many projects that are going to come slide in behind them, right? Financial projections and projects. And from those projects, we'll probably need this many people in our team. So you could build out the future org charts, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million annually. And from those future org charts, you look at, okay, here's our current org chart. Here's our future org chart. As we're growing, these are the next roles we're going to need to hire in 3, 6, 12 months. You want to start sourcing in advance. So those people, Nick, if you need a developer, no-code developer or a front-end developer, right? you want to start reaching out. You want to post a job for that role 3 to 6 months in advance. And here's my strategy, right? So on LinkedIn, you want to go to the people that are already employed. Hey, we're sourcing talent for this role. I saw you're hired. We're paying someone a $5,000 referral fee. If they come in, and we're also giving them a $1,000 signing bonus if this is actually you. Are you interested in applying? You do that, you follow the hiring process I shared, and then recommendations. Well, yeah, you're posting the job, you're doing the same thing. You're making top of funnel, but then you're incentivizing, right? It's if you think about sourcing talent, you have paid engagement, right? So I have a LinkedIn job post, I'm going to pay to promote it. So that's one way. I am going to post on a bunch of different marketplaces, but how do you make that top of funnel as big as possible? One way is direct messaging, where you're incentivizing people to recruit for you, right? So you're it's just like different attribution sources. Do we get talent through the job post? Do we get talent through referrals, right? What are the other ways people could find you? Right. One way is you could build a massive social profile. Brandon Bornanson on LinkedIn sources talent for his software company because he's really freaking cool and people want to work for him. Right. So it's kind of just looking at that attribution funnel and what are some other ways. So I would say forecast, source in advance, but the only way you can know if talent's great, you have to hire them. Or you could through referrals. Usually referrals will be the best source of talent. Jesus or Jesus, depending on how you say your name, said, what is the most valuable routines you keep clear thinking running on the business? Meditate every day. Had a great meditation today. I meditate for minimum 5 to 20 minutes a day. We had something really freaking annoying come up yesterday that could annoy me, but when you work at a place like Amazon, realize running an operation, there's just going to be things that break. It's just going to happen. So I through my meditation, I try to disassociate and embrace things as a spiritual opportunity for growth. But if you're too emotional about the things that break or things that happen in your business, you can't see things objectively. So meditation for me is the best process I have personally for that. Thanks for the question. Kenneth said, would you apply the same strategies, systems to a SaaS company? Yes, but like what I said with a SaaS company, it's less people intensive, right? So the software works on behalf of the people at scale. So the systems that I showed would work and will work for software companies. Like we've engaged with software companies before. It's just, you like example, we were working with a $10 million software company that had 100 people, right? You need to do millions of dollars for these things to really start to scale. But if you're a software company and you have like 4 or 5 developers on your team, you could still have the end of day checklist, the standard work checklist, the end of day report, visibility. When they report out on their projects and updates, they're not reporting, you're not asking them questions, they're reporting out to you. So yeah, so the 8-step plan does work for stuff like that. And guys, we're winding down. We got 5 more minutes. If there's no more questions,
do some kind of like maybe a summary or let's say top 3 advices that you keep telling to all people you work with and that all people are doing usually wrong. Agency founders, like what are top 3 things you would recommend?
Number one, start with the end in mind, and you want to build the workflow, right? The workflow, the first step, all the way to the last step, right? So you want to make sure you define every single step in your process. So that's number 1. Number 2, I really love the standard work checklist, right? So the checklist that shows you if your team's executing, like every day, Clarissa does my onboarding. So these are all of my clients that are onboarding, shows me their status, my sales team, my sales numbers, like you could see here, ViveHab runs my outreach. We sent 200 cold emails. We booked new calls, but he tried a new script. And, like this one thing keeps me so informed on the business. So I would say here. And then number 3, let's see what I got. Number 3, build with the end in mind, reverse engineer success. So not all of our time is equal. Most things will not deliver exceptional results. So you need to get good at reverse engineer your success. Start with your 1-year goal, create a 1-month goal and a 1-week goal. And then as you hit your 1 month, the question is, If I could only accomplish one thing this month, hence that by doing so allow me to be on track to hit my 1-year goal, what is that one thing? And that's it. Nick, follow-up question. Is it possible to automate checklists? Yeah, you could have a software. Like you could plug this into project management super simply. And then the reporting could be automated too through project management, through automations. How can people learn more about what you are doing? Oh, Nick, thanks for the plug, bro. So a few different ways. Yeah, if you want to learn more about us, connect with me. This is obviously me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on Twitter, Jordan_Ross_8F. I'm on YouTube now too, Jordan Ross 8F. If you want to work with us, you could go to 8figureagency.co/call or scan this. Then yeah, if Nick said, how can they work with you? So we've worked with over 600 agencies. We have guaranteed satisfaction money back. So number one thing I'm proud of in my business is we have guaranteed satisfaction, and anyone who's actually gone through the program has never asked for a refund. And I think that's what's so important. We build businesses that deliver great results. So Nick, thanks for having me on today. And guys, thank Kenneth, Hamid, Noah, everyone that was here today. Thanks for hanging out. And Nick said, what can people expect from the program? So we're done with you consultancy. We support you in building the roadmap, identifying the things you need. Oh, VibeHab, my director of marketing's here. What up, bro? We support you in helping you understand the things you need to build in your business to scale. And then we work with you, helping you build them. And we support you by answering all of your questions, getting on call with you and everything. Aaron, didn't know you were still here. Shout out, you're a main G. I appreciate you, bro. And guys, I'm on social. I'm on all the socials every day. And so is my director of operations, director of marketing. Guys, thank you so much. I'm grateful that you all got to hang out with me. I'm grateful that I get to hang out with you for the past hour. And I just wish you nothing but success and happiness, because this business and journey should be one of joy, shouldn't be stressful. But unfortunately, not enough people are talking about how to make it easy. So Nick, thanks for having me on, brother.
Jordan, thank you for joining. Guys and ladies, thank you all for coming as well. And yeah, we'll deliver the recording, I think, as well as we'll set it to all of our community. And yeah, just check your email, I think, within like tomorrow or something like that. And Jordan, this was amazing. Honestly, I learned at least like 7 different things that I actually wrote down. And
Nice.
yeah, this was amazing, man. Thank you a lot for joining. So this was super useful.
Thank you.
Okay, let's catch up. Bye, everyone. Thank you a lot for coming.